All right, my friends, welcome back to another episode of the Build Show podcast. That's right, my weekly time to get together with you guys and go deep. And I've got a really interesting topic today and a guest that I think we're going to go pretty deep on. This is a Austin-based company that's been around for a little while, but I think you could call them a mature startup. They have a technology for making potable water, drinking water for our houses, and making it from thin air. That's right. Now this is going to be really interesting. I've got basically the head of marketing, the regional VP for all of Texas with me today. We're going to dig into the technology. I think for anybody who's a prepper, anybody who's building custom homes, developers that are listening, I think there's a lot of use cases for this. The product is known as Aquaria. That's the main company. And they make a couple of different iterations of their equipment. We're going to talk about that with Chris. With that being said, today's Build Show from the Build Studios in Austin, Texas. Let's get going. Guys, before we jump in with Chris from Aquaria, I want to say a big thanks to our podcast sponsor, Arklin. You probably know these guys because we've been talking about them a lot since last year. At this time, I got introduced to this brand new product called Firepoint. Arklin is the parent company, by the way. And Firepoint is a next generation fire-resistant structural sheathing designed to exceed building code requirements, which delivers up to 53% more fire resistance and up to 90 minutes of protection on a 60-minute wall assembly. Now, if you saw my original video I posted about a year ago, I actually torched some in my back patio parking lot area here. And with my weed torch, propane weed torch, which is darn hot, I torched that piece of plywood for an hour and I didn't have enough energy to get through that coating that's on the face, this intumescent coating. That's the patent right there. The facing is an intumescent coating, but it's actually on top of a standard plywood sheet. This is 1/2-inch real plywood that builders are used to using, framers are used to cutting. No, gypsum on the job site to get that 60-minute rating. It really simplifies the assembly. It just goes on basically like standard plywood. You're going to nail it up. You don't even need to do anything special to treat the nails or the joints because that intumescent coating actually expands as it sees fire. If you're building in wildfire-prone areas, WUI zones, or any high-performance build where they're looking for some fire resistance, this is a legit product. You should definitely check it out. Lastly, they've got a 20-year warranty on this. So guys, Arklin Firepoint. If you just Google Arklin Firepoint, you'll take it right to the job site, or right to their website, I should say. All right, guys, let's jump in with Chris with Aquaria. Am I saying that right, Chris?
That's right, Aquaria, yeah.
So Chris, I kind of alluded to the fact that your equipment makes potable water from thin air. Expand on that. What are we really talking about here? What does this actually do?
Sure, the science behind it is no different than, say, a Coke can on your back patio. You set it down and you've got all of a sudden got water on your picnic table outside. So that's condensation. There is always water vapor in the air. Mm-hmm. And just to put a quick fine point on that, there's about 200 times the amount of moisture in the air that we could ever use. Wow. But just to kind of take it back, the idea of warm, humid air across a cold piece of metal creates water droplets, condensation.
Right.
You've seen it, like I said, on the picnic table. So what we do is we just take that idea and we just make it in gallons and hundreds of gallons in some of our residential machines.
And if you go to your website, you've got this thing called a Hydropack, which really kind of looks like almost like an outdoor condenser unit for an HVAC system, right?
That's right.
I'm assuming you're using a refrigerant cycle in this as well. So it's, in some respects, a very mature technology. But how long has this been around? Is this a patented thing? Do you guys have competitors? Sure. This is not something I'd heard of before I heard about you guys.
Yeah, we get a lot of comments, Spacebox, et cetera. But to your point, all the components in here, you've got several versions in your home. You've got a refrigerator, you've got an AC unit. Some people have dehumidifiers. The same basic components are all over the place. What we did was we took a 40-year-old idea, which is atmospheric water generation, used by the military in overseas areas where they couldn't truck in water.
Okay.
And they didn't care about efficiency, they didn't care about water quality, they didn't care about a lot of things. Those are the things where we're maniacal about.
Gotcha.
So we did win Times Invention of the Year 2024 for our category.
Wow, very cool.
So technically an invention because of how much we improved on the idea.
Awesome.
So we took a huge semi-truck size box running on a 100 kW genset, you know, and we turned it into a small package that's very, very, very efficient. And then, like you said, creates potable water.
That's pretty awesome. And if you look at your website, you've got 3 basic sizes.
Yep.
You've got this 66 gallon a day size, 132, and 264. That kind of feels to me like those numbers are related to each other somehow. What's the relation on all these numbers?
Yeah, so internally we call that our nameplate ratings, right? So it's 66, 132, 264. Now those are rated at a certain ambient, which technically is 86 and 80.
Okay.
That's our baseline. 86 degrees Fahrenheit, 80% relative humidity.
Okay.
30 degrees Celsius if you're overseas.
Gotcha.
You've got you've got up to that. So in Hawaii and southern Florida, you can get above those numbers.
Interesting.
Most of us are below those numbers because if either one drops, humidity being more important than temperature.
Right.
But if when one of those numbers drops, then that production drops.
So colder air holds less moisture. So if it's cold out, you're getting less moisture out of the air. If it's warmer, it actually holds more moisture, right?
So we need the
if it's-
heat. Heat and humidity in concert is the key. There could be 90% humidity, but it's 40 degrees, so I can't draw it.
Right.
I need hot air.
Right. It's got to be hot and
That's
warm.
right.
So in general, this is a southern U.S. Target market for you guys. Texas, Florida, probably perfect markets. Maybe not ideal for a desert marketplace, I'm assuming, right?
That's right. Yeah, not ideal. We do have a couple of machines that are in more arid areas. Those customers are very aware of what it is. One of the things that we do is each customer that we have, as we are really wanting to make sure that every customer is a happy customer, looking for quality over quantity. But we run a water production report for their area. So they'll know, will my machine run year round? What will it do month over month?
Oh,
what can I expect out of it? So here in Central Texas, the HydroPack X, our largest of our residential lineup, it maxes at about 248 gallons per day. It doesn't do any more than that here.
Okay.
But I've got in Hawaii where there's 6 or 7 months out of the year in certain parts of Hawaii, because there's microclimates there.
Sure.
But in certain parts of Hawaii where, that machine's doing 268, 275,
Gotcha.
even more than that. And we've had people who have said, I'm getting way more water than you claim, but that may be at 9 a.m. So when you think about kind of the water in the air at 4 or 5 a.m., you got a lot. At 3 p.m., you'd have less.
It's less humidity.
That's
at that
right.
point.
That's right.
So talk to me about use cases. I think of our listeners, Chris, as a lot of like-minded high-end builders like me. And I build both in the city and the country. So, sometimes I'm on city water, other times I'm on well water. I've got a job that I just finished that's exclusively on rainwater. And my guess is that you actually probably have customers on a broad swath of all those use case scenarios, as well as you mentioned, you've got a developer that's actually installing a farm, so to speak, of yours to supply a whole neighborhood worth of water.
That's right. Yep. That particular one is in Hawaii. And we've got a lot of developers here. TECQ is a place where they're kind of working through the details to make sure that they can get it done. But our use cases they range for everybody who is, kind of a doomsday prepper, somebody who just wants to always have water on hand. I'll give you an example. In Wimberley, we've got a guy, and he's on a shared well, community well. So one well serving multiple households. Well, they have backflow problems because it's not a city-run deal. It's just kind of an HOA thing. Well, once it backflows by law, if any of their backflow preventers break, by law, they have to go on a boil notice until they can test the water and get it up. So about once a month, they're going on a boil notice, and he's going to the store. It's a community of about 35 people that are all managing this like well. So he bought one because he's tired of going to the store once a month and having to stock up on water and wait till he can use his water again. So with the phone, he can flip the switch and he can use it.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Got a lady in Luling in a tiny house. She wants to just kind of age peacefully in her small little place. She got her smallest unit, small tank. She's only living on that water.
Wow.
Guy out in Seguin lost his municipal water. He had municipal water forever. He's on 1,100 acres. His house is set back about a mile from the street. And the water pressure was slowly going less and less and less. He switched over to rainwater. It's been great, except for the summer. So he bought a unit of ours to help supplement that summertime.
I hear a lot of Texas ranch owners that expect rainwater to be good, but don't realize, oh shoot, instead of my 50 gallons a day, my household uses 100 gallons a day, let's say. And so my predictions on rainwater lasting through the dry months doesn't work. They got to get a truck in to fill up their 5,000 gallon tank or whatever they were living off of multiple times. I could see somebody like that loving to put one of your products in so that they're continually topping off their tank, whether it's raining or not.
Yep, that's the install that's happening right now as we speak. There's a gentleman who switched over to rainwater. His well went dry. His aquifer went dry. Below him, he's at the bottom of one. Below him is another one, but he's talking about having to drill down 1,100 feet to get to that lower one, to the tune of $70,000 through a lot of rock. So for him, switching to rainwater was helping his well, but now his well is completely dry. So the rainwater came in to supplement a well that was sporadic. And now we're coming in to back up the rainwater, and he's getting off of groundwater entirely.
That's pretty neat. You know, you have a graphic on your website that really spoke to me, that was something I hadn't thought of, and it's right on the homepage. If you go to aquaria.world is their website, /water quality. This graph really spoke to me. It's saying, okay, let's compare Texas well, Texas utilities, like my City of Austin utilities, and then what I can generate through Aquaria. And it's got 4 different things listed. PFAS, that's our forever chemicals. Arsenic, which we definitely don't want. Nitrates and microplastics. All those are hot button topics that are talked about quite a bit. And as a side note, it's interesting that you show Texas utilities having some arsenic. I got my home water tested recently. I live like a mile from the studio. I have very trace amounts of arsenic. I probably have that same amount in my water, and it makes me think, gosh, I should be buying spring water to drink, because your typical filter under the sink doesn't do anything for arsenic. You got to go to RO. Now, on the other hand, if you look at your hydropack in generating water through your system, none of those are detected. Break that down for us. How's that possible?
Sure. So the biggest player in contaminants in drinking water comes from the ground. So there's a term, TDS, total dissolved solids. You may have heard that. Hard water, there's a lot of calcium dissolved. There's a lot of rock dissolved. So that was a solid, now dissolved. TDS is one of the things I educate people a whole lot about on phone calls. I teach my salespeople to talk to homeowners about TDS a lot because that's the biggest separator. We all drink atmospheric water, all of us. But what most of us do is wait for it to rain, hit the ground, go into an aquifer, go through some old pipes, get some chlorinate, some fluorinate, get all the other things shipped over through some old pipes, then into your house, right? We're just skipping that part, right? We're grabbing it, making it rain, so to speak. So when we pull it out of the air, there are things in the air. There's microplastics in the air. There's pollen. There's contaminants. There are dissolved solids in the air. It's just very few. The lowest TDS I've seen out of a well unfiltered is about 400. The highest I've seen is 2,400. That is 2,400 detected dissolved solids, like parts per million, in water. That is absolutely unsafe to drink. A place with 2,400 needs to have a full-on water treatment facility. Most of us in the hill country are dealing with 400 or 500. A lot of calcium, and then maybe some arsenic, some nitrates, nitrites, exactly, agriculture runoff. So we're maniacal about filtration, but the big benefit, the thing where half the battle is won, is we're only dealing with particulates for the most part. So you won't find lead because lead can't dissolve in solids, and you also can't process lead. So when you do a test and you find lead in your water, the problem is not so much like cancer or will your body take care of it. It stacks inside your body. Lead's very, very bad for us. Arsenic is also very bad. For the most part, we have very trace amounts. In fact, they'll have some funky symbols because it's like 0.000001 per million.
Per million.
That's right. That's right. But like I said, half the battle is already won. So when we filter, we go down to 0.002 micron, which is the size of a Zika virus, microscopic. So when our water comes out, it's a TDS score of 4.
Wow.
Not 400, not really 2,400, 4. When you talk about spring water and bottled water, I mean, test it. If you sending it off to a lab, it's $250. Don't do that. We'll do that. But you can. There are some bottled water have scores of 80, 100, 150.
Sure.
There's no true regulation as long as there's nothing unsafe in the water.
Right.
And
there's levels of safety, right?
There's
levels of risk.
That's right.
So then if you're getting this really good water from the air, what's it taste like? My concern would be it'd be like drinking distilled water.
When you drink distilled water, it's quite a bit of people have called it spicy. I haven't figured out the right adjective. I've been at this for a long time. Yeah. But you kind of feel it like tickle in the back of your throat when you drink it. When you add minerals, now it's a better mouthfeel. So ours is not harsh at all. We have a show site in Maine or Texas that we invite potential customers
that's cool.
to come out and check it out. You can see the machine, hear it run. You know, it's probably 30 minutes from the studio right here.
Very cool.
And you know, out there we test things like pumps and tanks and filters and just all kind of, you know, gallons per minute readers and just everything that a customer will, any ancillary product. But anyway, so I take people out there. We do not mineralize that water, and we just let people just drink it. So it's fine.
Okay, so you're not adding anything. You're not, a pinch of salt isn't being added to that. None of that kind of stuff.
Nope.
You could do that if you wanted to, or that's not something that you typically get into.
We do. We get into it. So in our consultation process, the biggest reason we don't mineralize the water at the point of use at our machine is because we're putting hundreds of gallons through it. You're going to spend a lot of money to mineralize water. You can imagine just bathing and doing your dishes in Topo Chico.
Right.
You know, to the cost of right. And so you know, the idea is that what we say is if you want good mouthfeel, then at your point of drinking, kitchen sink, bathroom sink, they sell little mineralization cartridges in line.
Easy.
Yep, that's right. And you can just set a timer and change it out every 3 months, depending on how many gallons you run through it.
Gotcha.
And you can kind of taste when it changes, but all it really does is give the water a little bit of body.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. All right, so here's the hard question, and I asked his permission, by the way, to ask him the hard question. What's the cost? I mean, is this $10,000? Is this $100,000? You know, my guess is you could actually tell us some ranges.
Sure.
And give us some vision for what this might be for, you know, a ranch house, 3,000 square feet. You know, they've got 5 or 6 people living there. Give us the range of where we think this might land for somebody like that.
Sure. So one of the things we talk about is, so I'll just start with the range because I don't want to do the politician thing and just have some long-winded deal to not answer your question.
Give us the range.
I'll give you the range and then we can, you know, do a little chat about it. But you know, our lowest machine with the tank and some level of trenching, installed, concrete pad delivered, you name it, about $18,000.
Okay.
And the biggest machine with a pretty good sized tank and a decent trench, one of the highest tickets I've seen, is just shy of $50,000. So most people land in the neighborhood of 40 with a full-size machine, decent-sized tank, short trenching.
Gotcha.
The things that change it, I mean, we have one, we're talking to a guy who's on the Amalfi Coast and his house is cliffside and the machine must be set down by helicopter.
Oh my
that one's going to cost a little bit more, right?
Yeah, the chopper's not included in that price.
That's right. Yeah, delivery not included. You know? But yeah, so you know the things that go into it when we have consultations. For instance, you mentioned the rainwater you know, house that you're dealing with. It would be a whole lot less to get our biggest machine because we're not going to install a tank or a pump or any of those products. We're going to pour a concrete pad and we're going to dump into the tank and then we're going to wire it up. So each job is so different because what some people think, oh, I want 25 days, I want 5 days, I want 3 months of backup potential in my tank.
Right.
That's a big tank. How many gallons are you using? Let's size that.
Yeah.
I don't want this machine anywhere near my house. I want it clear on the back 40. All right, well, trenching wire, we have to up the wire size after 150 feet, you know. So things go into like what changes the cost, but that's a decent range.
What is a typical person's use of gallons per day? Is that a stat you know off the top of your head?
Sure. So I can only go by EPA. Most people on wells do not have any kind of a meter. I mean, they don't want a meter, right? And I don't know that I would, so I don't blame them. But you know, it's 50 to 100 gallons per day, excluding large irrigation.
Gotcha. Yeah. So if you're a single woman living in a tiny house, you can expect 50 to 100 gallons a day.
That's right.
And my guess is if you think about it, if you're on rainwater, for instance, you're not jumping in the shower for 30 minutes.
That's
like,
right.
You're thinking about like, hey, this shower costs me money.
Or I'm without.
Yeah, that's right. Or if I shower today, I might not be showering next week.
That's
so
right.
I should probably get in and get done what I need to and
That's
get
right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is showering the biggest driver of water use in a domestic setting, or is it more like cooking or flushing toilets or things like that? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I'm curious if you know that.
Sure. Luckily, my wife won't be listening, but it really depends on who's showering.
True.
At my house, you know, showering is not crazy, but my wife does take a little bit longer showers.
Yeah, mine does too.
And so they say that, you know, when you take a shower, you know, if it's a 5-minute shower, you can use 15 gallons. But if you take a 45-minute shower, an hour shower, you know, you could be using 75 gallons. I mean, you can burn up a whole day's. And then as a builder, I'm sure you know this, but you've got low flow shower heads and you've got 80 gallons per minute shower heads. I mean, I've seen an 80 gallon per minute shower head.
Holy cow.
It was a rain above the deal. It was on both sides, and as it
Jeez.
cranks in, it can just unload water.
You gotta have a lot of hot water to feed
That's
that
right.
thing too.
That's right. That's
Multiples.
Right. When I saw that, because I was looking up shower heads, and I take the extra step when I'm having a consultation call, discovery call with somebody. Let me fully understand what you're trying to get done. And what is a typical shower? Let me look up gallons per minute shower heads. When I saw 80, I mean I was a gate. My mouth was a gate. I had to pick it up off the floor. I couldn't believe that number.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 5-minute shower, you're talking 400 gallons.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy it's on the market.
That's in the excess category that I think we should not be doing.
Nobody should be
I'm not
buying
saying
that.
we should outlaw it because I am a Texan, but I'm saying you shouldn't do it.
Same.
That's dumb.
I couldn't have said it better.
You can't outlaw being dumb. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. The crayons say don't eat,
Exactly. So here's a question for you. Talk to me about maintenance and longevity.
Sure.
What do you need to do to these things, if anything, on a regular basis? And then how long do you expect one of these units to be still functioning and making water for people?
So, so we'll start with maintenance. On maintenance, there's kind of two answers. One, the coils that make the water, that is unfiltered water, obviously. So there's some cleaning to be done there. It really depends on what you've got. Now, we do have an air filter before the water ever enters the machine, but things can get past the air filter, just like anything else.
Yep.
So like your AC at home, every now and then you got to get the coil cleaned. You should at least get it checked out. Same thing with ours.
Gotcha.
That is not every filter change. That's not every year. You may not have to do that for a long time.
Gotcha.
But as there's a buildup, then we can't make water as fast. So you've got an efficiency, and then you've got just cleanliness.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about the cleanliness of the water too much because we're gonna, like I said, we're maniacal about filtration. But there is that aspect. The main thing, the regular maintenance, is just the filters and then wiping out the tank. So inside we have an internal tank. It's smaller. It acts as a checkpoint. When that thing fills up enough to pump out, it pumps it out to the end user. And so when you change filters, which is depending on your use, is anywhere between 4 and 6 months, even as much as 9 if it's used very little. We have functionality to where you can almost barely use the machine. We've got a great app for it. When you change filters and you want to pull the tank out, give it a wipe down, inspect it, make sure it's good, and then put it back. Probably takes about 20-25 minutes if kind of your first time. Well, we can knock it out pretty quick. I mean, we'll go out and do some changes for people who ask us to come out and show them how to do it the first time and that sort of thing. So we can knock it out real fast.
Gotcha. But, so that's what, every 3 months, every 4 months?
If you're running it 24/7, probably every 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so you're 4 times a year, just like you're changing the filters on the rest of your stuff in the house. Yeah. Okay. How about long term? Is this a 20-year piece of equipment? Is it longer?
We expect 15 years.
Okay.
We're a 4-year-old startup. So
Gotcha.
do we have one out in the wild for 15 years? We do not.
Not yet.
But we have them out there that have been running for several years and they're fine. The quality of the components that we put in, the variable speed compressor is that's the heart of the beast, right? That's the thing that really makes it run. That particular compressor ought to last 30 or 40 years. But we do have wiring, fans, motherboards, screens.
Right,
we've got the things that we all know. If you could have a brand new car and the screen goes black every 19 minutes because it doesn't like Bluetooth or whatever.
Yeah. If I was putting one of these on one of my houses, I've got a client who's a version of a prepper that I would say he's more of a belt and suspenders guy.
Yep.
I think that's why he hired us. He would probably buy 2 and have 2 working simultaneously. So if one died in 10 years or 15 years or 30 years, he always had a supplemental second unit. So instead of buying one big one, he would advocate for us buying 2 medium-sized ones or something like that. What would you think about that? That's kind of an interesting thought.
So one quick thing, I love it because I want to sell more than one to everybody, but we usually just sell 1 to 1. But inside of our units, there are actually, like say you buy the biggest unit, the Hydropixel X, there are 4 water production units, which can run independently of each other.
Oh, interesting.
So
So you've already thought of this.
That's right.
There's already redundancies built in.
That's right. You could have 1 water production unit down and still be running 3.
How about that?
Here's a couple of use cases for that. 1 is resiliency, redundancy. 2, we had a customer who came in looking for about 40 gallons per day. Well, in the summertime, the Hydropixel S would do that just fine for them. But in the wintertime, they're doing more like 20. But they saw the modularity of it and they decided the HydroPack was the right move. In the summertime, they're going to run one of those water production units because that'll produce plenty of water. In the summertime, they're going to run both and they'll still get their water. So they're going to they're going to use it their way so that they can do it. Secondly is, you've got surge or lots of different ways to talk about your startup, your locked, your locked rotor.
Yep.
So we start them up. They start and shut down independently, sequentially. So that way we don't have one big surge.
Super
so
smart.
from efficiency to redundancy to fewer part numbers to easier swap should something go wrong. The main reason we chose the modularity as opposed to changing the size of everything as you move up in equipment.
I wonder if any of your Texas ranch owners that have your HydroPacks only run them on solar. Like, could you have a direct DC from solar to your HydroPack?
It wouldn't be direct DC. I mean, we connect to the main service panel, as does solar.
Right.
We do have a guy who's in Terlingua, actually. He's in very low humidity, but he owns a solar company out of California. And so he's going to build a massive solar farm out there, and we've done all the math, and he's going to run his solely on solar. It will be converted to AC at the,
He's got an inverter somewhere along
That's
the line.
right.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, it feels like a really interesting use of existing technologies. You probably could, in effect, make one of these yourself if you were a nutty professor and had a year of garage time to source the parts. I suspect you guys are going to do really well with this in southern U.S. households. I also could see you branching out to a lot of other places in the world and shipping these worldwide.
Yeah, we do. We ship them.
Do you already have an Army contract or a DOD contract or something like that?
We don't, but if you know someone.
Or DOW, I guess it's called now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, DOW, yeah.
I could see those guys going big time on this.
For sure. And one of the things is like, so I'll tell you two very, very fringe use cases. One, there's a guy who he's located south of San Antonio. I can't remember the name of the city, but he serves coastal bend hospitals. When they go on a boil notice or when there's inclement weather coming, they have redundancy across the board, electricity, water, gas.
Yeah, makes sense.
They have massive tanks, and he will send trucks, like 5,000 gallons at a time, and dump into their tanks if inclement weather's coming, if they go on a boil notice, et cetera.
Wow.
What he's thinking about doing is having an army of trailers with our machines and gensets on the trailer and just show up and let it continue to run, so he's not doing truck rolls to run them. So that's one fringe use case that we're working on right now.
That's pretty fascinating.
Helping them do the math on all this, how will all this work, right?
That's cool.
And then secondly, we've got a customer in Georgetown who has a commercial grow garden. And every year they lose thousands of dollars worth of crops because they have to close up the windows because of the cold weather, but then the humidity goes up to 100 and then mold kicks in and they lose these organic, heirloom tomatoes and all these other things. So they're using our machine as a dehumidifier, but also water the plants. So I'm old enough that I can make this joke, but I don't know if you remember the movie Biodome, where they're in the,
That's right.
So homeostasis has reached, so we're over there like helping a commercial greenhouse. We're looking at hospital redundancy. So when you talk about DOD and that sort of thing, there's a lot of places to where, if you are an underground sealed bunker, there's a humidity issue and you need drinking water.
And by the way, you also need drinking water.
We can help with both, right?
That's fascinating. There's a company out of California called Living Vehicles that makes this like super bomber and super expensive RV that has all kinds of solar and battery and all this other stuff, but they don't have water generation.
That's right.
And I could see them doing one of your smaller units for water generation in the back too. Kind of randomly, tell me about the Hydropixel. I was like, this is a perfect use for my office. So I know you can't see the website for those listening. They make a real small version of this that looks just like the water cooler at your office, minus the big tank. And this one says it makes más o menos 10 gallons of water a day that would be for your home or office. I would think that would be a fast seller.
It does. It sells itself, right? That's an e-commerce product. You can go to.
Oh, really?
You just click buy now and ship it to yourself.
Gotcha.
There's just exactly. So that's the only one that we don't. have much of a consultative process because indoors is pretty typical.
Yeah.
You know, your heater will remove a lot of your outdoor humidity. So in the wintertime, it'll produce less, just like any of our units, but it pretty much will produce year round wherever.
Yeah.
I've got one at my office. I office out of a co-working space, and then I've got one at home. I have it in my laundry room in my house. And I was a little concerned about it taking all the humidity out of that room because it's a small room. But you know, when you say 10 gallons a day, well, if you're drinking 10 gallons a day, it makes 10 gallons a day.
But if
you drink a gallon a day, it's going to make a gallon a day, right? Because it's got internal tanks, and when they're full, it stops. So my machine at home, I mean, like this morning I went out there and got water before, you know, filled it up before I took off to work. And I went home for lunch before I came over here, and I topped off my cup at the house, and it was still off. I don't think it's run all day.
I should have told you to bring me a sample. That would have been fun.
You know, I thought about it, and I have some in my truck, but you know, I'm halfway through that one. But
that's cool. That's very cool. What an interesting machine.
Yeah, and so that one's really cool. We got, you know, my co-working space. There's probably 60 or 70 people there, and their concern over there when they decided they'd pick it up was that will it serve all these 60 people? And the lowest I've seen it just says low, but it's still holding on.
Wow, that's wild.
So it's serving about 60 people, and it just never runs out. So when you think about an office space, you know, at home, you need to think about the sound. Are you within earshot from your couch? It's making water. This isn't, you know, it's not a little water cooler with a tiny little thing that's keeping it kind of cool. I mean, it's making water.
It's got a compressor in there.
It's not crazy loud, but it's not quiet. But you know, for an office setting, you talk about forgetting the bottles, the jugs, the delivery, the contracts, all this stuff. This thing pays for itself in an office setting. You've got a true ROI across the board, and then you've got the best water you've ever had. I mean, everybody goes crazy where I'm at, you know, in my co-working space about the water.
That's pretty awesome.
It's on wheels, so you can move it. Like say you have you need it here or need it there. You just move it where you want it, plug it back in, unplug it, move it, plug it in. It's just still rolling.
That's cool, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, super fun to hang out with you, man. Are you willing to give any of your contact info if you've got a builder or developer in the audience who wants to ask you questions later?
Absolutely, yeah. For builders, one of the cool things is unlocking land. You know, right now with your wells, you need about 10 acres to unlock kind of automatically. Other than that, you're looking at hiring geologists. So unlocking land is something pretty cool, you know, cool concept. But yeah, my contact info for anyone out there looking for it, my name is Chris Christal again. My email is chris@Aquaria World, and phone number is 210-300-5666. So I'm happy to take any calls and
Awesome,
blow
Chris.
up the phone, man.
Appreciate that, dude. Very much appreciate that. Make sure you tell Chris that you heard him on the Build Show, by the way. Really appreciate you coming in, dude. Fascinating. Aquaria.world is the website. You could probably just Google Aquaria water generator or Aquaria Hydropixel in their website, but it's spelled a little bit weird. AQUIA, right? Aqua, IA, Aqua IA. .world is the website. Chris, really appreciate it, dude. Very kind of you to come in. Guys, if you're not currently a subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. You know, we've got new content here in the Build Show podcast every single Friday, and we vary from what we do. Sometimes we talk to manufacturers. We've got the Origin series that we're coming back to very shortly, so stay tuned for that. I got some great lineup of builder guests on the Origin series. Always fun to spend some time with you guys in the car, at the desk while you're listening in the background, all those things. With that being said, follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show podcast.